That's what yeah.
Okay. All right, let's start.
Oh, it was, yeah.
All right. Will the town clerk please read the statement?
Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided to the public on January 6, 2023, and was posted at the municipal building in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and JSA semicolon 4-7.
Okay, please join me as we salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember DeStacy.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Sparta.
Present.
Councilmember Cadrick.
Here.
Council President Bushieri.
Here. Okay. Public comments. The first public comment session is for current agenda items only. So the public is welcome to come forward. Please indicate which agenda item you'll be discussing, and you have 3 minutes. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second? Second. Seconded by Ms. DeStacy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The floor is open. One or two. Is there anyone virtually, Marcy, who would like to comment?
Yes, Jessica Palladini.
Ms. Palladini, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening. I just want to comment on the Sally Rinker resolution, resolution 23-180. I call it the Sally Rinker resolution because she apparently is in charge of this, because she has written on Facebook that this committee will consist of volunteers who are entrenched in the world of biking. They are knowledgeable about the sport, the equipment, the safety. The volunteers on the recreation board are likely not involved in the sport. The other parks have sports played that are generally headed by coaches. The pump track is an item inviting a physical activity. It is my understanding that this group of volunteers will perform maintenance, spearhead events, and oversee the adherence of safe use, and on and on. So I'm wondering why you are entertaining growing government. I'm wondering why now we are giving the pump track over to the quote biking community, and why we need to have a committee for one specific recreational amenity. We don't have a committee for Veterans Memorial. We don't have a committee for Maple Grange. We don't have a committee for any of the trails. And to me, this is just a really bad idea to give the biking community oversight over the pump track. I don't understand where it came from, except maybe from her, because she, obviously knows all about it, but I don't see it as a good thing to do. We have a recreation board. The recreation board could invite the biking community if they want, but I see this as a bad precedent to be set. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
I don't have any other hands up.
Mr. Mayor, I believe you could probably answer that question during your comments. Is that correct or no?
I hadn't really planned to comment on it, but
Do you have a quick answer to why you requested a bike park committee?
let me think about this in some comments, something coherent together.
Okay.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank
The comments, information I've already sent to the council, but I'll share some of that.
Okay. You're done, Mo.
I'm Steve Dunlop. All one and all, I'm sure. My only comment has to do with this resolution 180. It says, whereas the Vernon Township Mayor and Council desire to create a township pump track committee. I've never heard anybody on the council say anything about wanting a pump track committee. So I don't know if the mayor's just trying to get you guys to hitch your horse to his cart, or if you guys do think this is a good idea and it's something that you thought about and talked about and decided it's what you want to do. I would think long and hard before doing it. We do have a recreation department. It does talk about making brochures. Last I checked, cost money. And they're not supposed to have a budget, but I've seen how money has been moved from one department to another department, how they've used recreation money for things other than recreation. I would just ask the council to be very judicious and think long and hard before doing it. I am surprised to see the wording saying that the council desires to create a public. I hope that's not the case, but I guess we'll find out in the next hour or so. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Had, Ann Larson had her hand up, but I don't see it anymore. Oh, I'm sorry. Ann Larson?
Yes, thank you. I don't know why it pops off of raising my hand when I do that, but it does that. So forgive me for that. In reference to this committee for the pump track, I have to say, I really, I oppose that idea very strongly, but in theory, how would this work? How do we know that these people are viable, good role models, let alone bike riders? I don't care what kind of bike riders they are, but are they good role models to be with the youth? Have they had drug tests? Have they had background tests? I mean, just to launch people from the biking community as being in charge of the pump track, it's an absurdity. So if we have a recreation committee, let's let them learn about the pump track rather than dropping these professionals in who are, let's say, the first thing that's going to happen is that we're going to need improvements, right? The first thing they're going to say is, well, it could be better if you did this, or Wantage has that, and West Milford has this. Let's just stop the nonsense. And this doesn't going to take over the town, the importance of the pump track. You wanted a track, you got a track. Let's live with it instead of starting to keep, reinvent the wheel. Thank you very much. That's it.
Yeah. For anyone else, Marcy?
I don't have any other hands up.
Okay. Seeing no other members of the public, may I have a motion to close floor to public comment? Motion made by Mr. Stassy. May I have a second? Second made by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Review of the bills list.
Before we do that, Madam President, I'd like to call for a possible discussion item on a resolution that I would like to have introduced from the floor.
Okay.
I've prepared some copies.
Okay. Yeah. More.
You need one more?
Oh, you have a double?
Here.
Do you have an extra?
Here, take this one.
Oh, no,
I
you
got it.
you
I got it. I got it.
Yep.
And for the mayor,
Well,
thank you.
thank you.
I'm asking that this resolution be introduced for the passage of the Vietnam Veterans War Memorial and show. Citing to be determined. Reason why we have citing to be determined is because I had entered into some discussion with members of the Board of Education, possibility of citing it on a common field to schools. That decision has not been made and is still ongoing, would alleviate the significant pushback that I hear from there's not enough parking at Maple Grange. But in owing to the fact that there is a lead time on purchasing this kit and developing the timeline for construction, as well as passage of the bond ordinance for funding, I wanted to get a proposal moved by the council to require the township to move on developing a bond ordinance. Hence, I am bringing this forward for the passage of bond development, a bond ordinance for $350,000 to finance the Vietnam War Veterans Memorial Band Show. And I don't really think we need the word war in it, but that can be taken care of later. Whereas the members of the Armed Forces of the United States began serving an advisory role to the government of South Vietnam in 1955, and whereas in 1965, ground combat units of armed forces of the United States arrived in the Republic of Vietnam to join approximately 23,000 personnel of the armed forces who were already present there. And whereas by 1969, the number of such troops reached a peak of approximately 549,500, including members of the armed forces in the region who were supporting the combat operations. Whereas on January 27th, 1973, the agreement on ending the war and restoring peace in Vietnam, commonly known as the Paris Peace Accords, was signed, which required the release of all prisoners of war of the United States held in North Vietnam and the withdrawal of all armed forces of the United States from South Vietnam. And whereas on March 29th, 1973, the armed forces of the United States completed the withdrawal of combat units and combat support units from South Vietnam, and whereas more than 58,000 members of the armed forces of the United States lost their lives in the Vietnam War, and more than 300,000 members of the armed forces of the United States were wounded in Vietnam. And whereas many thousands of veterans of the Vietnam War were opposed to Agent Orange and other harmful herbicides during the course of their service, carrying home delayed wounds of toxic exposure at the highest rate of any generation of veterans before. And whereas the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 1002 has displayed exemplary leadership in providing assistance to Vietnam veterans suffering significant medical ailments incurred in the course of their service by obtaining necessary medical treatment, whereas the Vietnam Veterans Chapter 1002 have also recognized a need for a place of final rest for their fallen brothers and sisters, and have secured and caused to be constructed a cemetery in Sparta, New Jersey, for their fallen brethren. And whereas a determination has been made that it would be beneficial to appropriately honor the veterans of the Vietnam War with a memorial bandshell in Vernon Township, and whereas final details of specific siting will be addressed prior to our next meeting, and whereas the bandshell would also benefit the Township of Vernon by providing community identity, a bridge through the generations of residents, encouraging broader support for the musical and art community, helping to increase musical tourism, and by providing a home for engaged and receptive audience. Whereas the establishment of a 5013C volunteer committee to oversee scheduling recommendations, promotion efforts, and suggested funding possibilities. And whereas the pledges and donations have been received from caring businesses and members of the community for this project, and whereas the passage of this resolution is deemed a lawful demand of the Council of Vernon Township, implementation of this request to begin the funding process to be completed by our meeting of July 10th, 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township of Vernon and the Township Council of Vernon that the Township Council hereby supports the passage of a $350,000 bond ordinance to finance a Vietnam War Veterans Memorial Bandshell. Thank you. And I would ask for a second, make this motion, I would ask for a second on the agenda for discussion.
There a second?
I'll give it a second.
Second by Mr. Tadrick. Discussion? Anyone have any comments or questions?
We're only voting on it being placed on the agenda, correct? We're not
No.
voting on it.
We're voting on the resolution, right?
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
Well, right now you're having the discussion right now. So the next motion presumably is to have the resolution adopted.
Adopted, okay, so this is the discussion, and then after the discussion, we will vote to support the resolution, or you just know to not support it.
And my comments are basically that as I've stated all along, I'm opposed to any kind of bonding for amenities that are not needed for the safety of our community. And in addition, I really believe that the Vietnam veterans should be honored in our Veterans Park along with all the other veterans. That's all.
Can I respond to that?
Yes,
I understand the reticence of some members about not wishing to commit funds through bond indebtedness. That's, debt financing for this project. But were we to do that, were this stance to be extended, I don't know why any member of this council should support purchase of a fire truck, an ambulance, repair of a road, improvement on town baseball properties or baseball fields, sport fields, or even Maple Grange itself, unless you can do it on a cash basis. The whole basis of funding a township is predicated on the use of debt service. And that debt service is measured by the amount of your debt ratio. And I think I had pointed out earlier that our 1.03 debt ratio is by no means too high. It is well within a recognized level of acceptance. And that as we begin to add debt, there is also debt being paid off. Everybody forgets that. At some point, we need to recognize that debt is a good thing. It's not a thing to be feared. Uncontrolled debt is a thing that we shouldn't do. But as you begin to pay off debt, you want to maintain a stability on your the amount of debt that you have incurred and that you are servicing, because otherwise you will have no ability to grow your town. This particular project, in my opinion, becomes an investment in the community. And whether you want to call it whether you want to see it by the flats, or over at that particular site, to me, you're losing track of it. The whole idea of this was to recognize an action that took place, that started in this very room in 2011 or 2012, where the township dedicated a significant amount of money to the establishment of the cemetery, and also we allowed the use of our legal representation to work with the members of the Vietnam vets at that point to help establish this particular project. I could go on, but certainly the last thing is that if we were again to take this particular stance, that means that every cohort that comes in would have to be represented in some way, I would think. If for a fact this were approved tonight and we were to do it all in cash, that means that anybody coming into Vernon in 2024, 2025 and on would not have to pay $1 to use this facility. Is that fair to everybody else? Why do you think schools are being built on a 30-year mortgage, which is what it is? That's the level of your bond indebtedness. We call it a mortgage for our house, but because of the intricacies of the bond market, we call it something different when we build a structure. But it's still a structure. It still accommodates a 30-year length of life, as does this. So I think using those types of objections, while valid, open you up to some criticism and the possibilities of not seeing movement in other areas. And I think really they should be rethought. Thank you.
Do you have any,
No.
Mr. Sparta, Mr. Tadrick?
No.
I too have concerns about a bond ordinance that you asked a question, Mr. Rizzuto, about the difference between a fire truck or an ambulance and a van shell, and there's needs and wants. This is a want, those are needs. The maintenance of our existing parks, they're here, they require maintenance. I would put that on the needs, maybe not as much of a need as a fire truck or an ambulance, but I would put that in the need column. This is, if we were to create another amenity in our community, it would require maintenance. That would be, again, in the need column. Not above a fire truck or an ambulance or roads, but still something that we would, if you commit to building something, you do need to maintain it. I think a ban shell might be a great amenity. I have said it numerous times that I would prefer to dip my toe in the water and not jump in. I think it would be wonderful to create a committee to, if there are community members that are interested in working perhaps with the Sussex County Arts Council, with the New York Orange County Community Concert Series, and getting some information from those organizations on how they run their concert series and community programs, and having a couple performances in one location, any location in town, working that committee, working through that to see how we would handle it, if we have interest, cost, maybe unknown circumstances that might come up, but not support a bond for $350,000 without that background. Occurring. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to move forward and approve it.
We have a roll call vote, Marcy?
You need a second.
No, we don't.
You
Second,
don't need a second.
Yeah, you need a second.
Oh, I
You
didn't do
do.
second? Oh,
Yeah, you
I thought
do.
we had the first and second.
I don't
No,
know.
that was for
That
discussion.
was for the discussion.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
We need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. May I have a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilmember DeStacy,
No,
Councilmember Rizzuto,
yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick.
Yes.
Council President Bucieri.
No.
Motion carries.
So to be clear then, this motion will move forward the development of an ordinance to be brought before the council for consideration and approval.
Is that a question or are you asking?
No, I'm just making a clear statement.
I don't know if that's the case. Is that the case, Josh? And a resolution?
The motion expresses the council's, desire to have a bond ordinance drafted and presented. The mayor directs the attorneys, and that's, the resolution is a statement of the council's opinion on the matter.
Okay. Thank you. All right, every council member has received a copy of the bills list. If you all had a chance to review it, kind of short on there. Anybody have any comments or questions? No? Okay, moving on. Approval of minutes. We have the June 12th, 2023 executive session and the June 12th, 2023 regular session. Can we just vote on those together? Marcy, you're going to separate them out. Oh, no, you can vote on together. Okay. All right, may I have a motion to approve the June 12th executive and regular meeting minutes?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sparta. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember DeStacy,
yes,
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes.
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Carries. Okay. Consent agenda. There's quite a few resolutions on here.
I want to pull
Is there anything-
23-180,
1 second.
23-180.
23-1-8 and 80. Is there any other resolutions that anyone else would like to pull? Okay. All right,
We have one question now. EMS one is not here. So we're still without a contract. That's correct?
Yes,
So are we lacking service then? Or potential-
no. St. Clair's is still answering calls, but
They're not
it's
priority.
not from Vernon. They're not stationed in Vernon's. They're in Hardiston and Hamburg. They're gonna continue to do that, they said, for 90 days, and that was about a month ago. So we have a couple of months left.
Thank you.
all right, resolution 23-157, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the disposition of salvage of vehicles and equipment in the possession of the township at auction on municipbid.com. Resolution 23-174, resolution rescinding resolution 23-162 and confirming Peter Lambers as second judge of the Vernon Township Municipal Court. Resolution 23-175, authorizing the purchase of a VATCON sewer cleaner used 2014 model V311 HE 1300 and accessories through Sourcewell National Cooperative number 101221-VAC through VATCON. Resolution 23-176, resolution authorizing purchase of Freightliner 108 SD and accessories through Sourcewell National Cooperative 080818 through Henderson Products, Inc. Resolution 23-177, authorizing contracts with certain approved Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative, contract vendor Modern Group LTD through ESCNJ contract 18/19-5. Resolution 23-178, authorizing contracts with certain approved Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative, contract vendor Falcon Road Maintenance Equipment, ESCNJ contract 18/19-25. Resolution 23-179, authorizing contracts with certain approved Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative, contract vendor Deere and Company through distributor Central Jersey Equipment LLC for tractor and backhoe through ESCNJ contract 18/19-25. Resolution 23-181, renewal of inactive liquor license JD Vernon Lodge and Inn LLC requiring special ruling in the Township of Vernon for the 2020 through 2021 licensing term. Resolution 23-182, resolution of inactive liquor license JD Vernon Lodge and Inn LLC requiring special ruling in the Township of Vernon for the 2021-2022 licensing term. Resolution 23-183, renewal of inactive liquor license JD Vernon Lodge and Inn LLC requiring special ruling in the Township of Vernon for the 2022 through 2023 licensing term. Resolution 23-184, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Glenwood Mountain Road Section 2 Improvement Project. Resolution 23-185, resolution of the Township of Vernon, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the award of Department of Public Works proprietary software IMGIS Group LLC through the competitive contracting process. That's it. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Motion to approve
Second.
made by Mr. Sparta, second by Mr. Tadrick. May I have a roll call vote?
Bridget Stassi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bushieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We'll go back to resolution 23-180, resolution in the town center contract. Committee.
Motion to table this.
Motion
second,
table. Second by Mr. Rizzuto. Okay,
May I have- Who made the
Mr. Patrick made a motion to table. Rizzuto made a second. Okay, may I have a roll call?
Councilmember Stassi,
No.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Tadrick.
Yes.
Councilmember Bushieri.
No.
Carries two.
Okay. All right. Public hearing, second reading of ordinances, ordinance 23-16, bond ordinance providing for the improvement of sanitary sewage system in and by the township of Vernon and the county of Sussex, New Jersey, appropriating $4,316,500 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $822,000 of notes of the township for financing such appropriation. I have a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2316.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta, second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The floor is open for public comment for ordinance 2316. Is there anyone in person who would like to comment? Is there anyone virtually who would like to comment on the ordinance, Marcy?
I don't have any hands up.
Okay. All right, being no members of the public wishing to come forward, may I have a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2316.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2316?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second? I'll second it. I'll give you a break, Joe.
Thank
We have a roll call vote.
Councilmember DeScalzi,
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto,
Question before I do. What would happen if this were not voted on and not approved?
We would not be able to do a sewer expansion or use the $3.4 million that we got from the federal government to do this expansion.
Yes,
Councilmember Sparta,
Yes.
Councilmember Tadrick,
Yes.
Council President Bucieri.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. This public comment time is for any topic not limited to agenda items, and we'll have 5 minutes to speak. Is there anyone? Oh. Yeah, 5 minutes to speak. I'm sorry. Anyone wishing must state their name but not their address. May I have a motion to open the floor to public comment? Moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Sparta, second by Mr. Tadrick. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. The floor is open. Is there anyone in person who wishes to address the council?
Good evening, Madam President. Mayor. Did that proposal wasn't on the agenda. Had it been, I would have made my remarks at that open public opportunity. I want to make it clear that I'm a strong advocate and practitioner of zero-based budgeting. And what that means in my background, leading not-for-profits, and for the most part, corporations, I didn't believe in taking on tasks that A, wouldn't be paid for in front, or B, could be justified by being self-sustaining. Absolutely, that has been the way I've done things. I think Mr. Rizzuto's proposal clearly expresses the opportunity for this to be a self-funding situation. If this were to come true with a 501(c)(3) not-for-profit organization being tied to it, it would open itself to, for instance, much more grant opportunities. Secondly, it's well documented if you Google that these band shells can be a money-making proposition, that there are many groups that would be more than happy to pay this 501(c) organization money to use the facility and to sustain the facility. So I think that being said, it fulfills, at least in my mind, the fact that it's a while a bond is necessary, the bond would be more than made up of fees charged for its use, and its maintenance would continue with the continued use of the facility. The fact that this is named as a Veterans Memorial, really, that's the cream that's on top of this. Aside from it being a due cause, this is a matter of economic development as well. We all are familiar. I would like to hear anybody who would argue this, that Sparta, Warwick, and many towns have not benefited directly from an economic standpoint with the creation of a band shell. Even in the town of Paramus, where they didn't need to worry about economic development, even that band shell in that community is self-sustaining and has brought many people outside of Paramus that don't go to Paramus even to go shopping. So I see this being justified equally, if not more, as an economic development improvement. In addition, Mr. Rizzuto makes a great point. We have an excellent recreation committee. I don't know of a town with a better run recreation committee. They bring many opportunities to our children and to our adults. We, however, tend to spend money on physical activities pointed to young people. Yes, there are many people my age that are bicyclers, but in comparison to the youth, it's a very small percentage. A band shell can be enjoyed by all ages. And whether it's at Maple Grange, where personally, I haven't done a study. I would argue that there would not be a conflict with sports parking. I think that would be an ideal spot. I attended Vernon Day, which was an excellent opportunity, but I'll tell you, I had to park behind the school and traverse it with my walker. It was a lousy experience. Maple Grange would offer much better parking solutions and accessibility. So here again, thank you for the opportunity to address you. I hope you understand. Again, I want to reiterate, I'm one who really believes in zero-based budgeting. Don't spend money you don't have, or approve something that can't pay for itself. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Good night.
Is there anyone else in the public in person who wants to address the council? Is there anyone virtually?
Yes, Jessica Palladini.
Ms. Palladini?
Yes, hello again. I want to discuss something tonight. Daniel's Law. You need to educate your municipal clerk and other employees about Daniel's Law, because they apparently do not understand it and they're not complying with it as they should. When it was discussed at a council meeting not that long ago, in which they were referring to have to redact all the minutes, it was explained entirely erroneously. So let me give you a little bit of background on Daniel's Law. It was created for current and former police officers, judges, municipal employees, and even current council members. They are also currently considering it even for candidates running for office. You may not be aware of this, but there is a portal for Daniel's Law. Individuals who wish their addresses to be withheld are responsible for registering for that portal themselves. It's the clerk's responsibility to look up those registered names on the portal, and only those addresses are the ones that have to be redacted. Now, even if the clerk and other departments wanted to lawfully redact anything, they're supposed to redact addresses, not names. I received Oprah requests this past week in which I wanted violation notices and summonses that had been issued to private citizens. I got the documents that I asked for, but all the names were redacted and all of the addresses remained on them. Now, that's totally wrong to begin with. So even, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. When I wrote to the clerk and to other department members about the documents that came from them and asked them why they are wrongly redacting the names, they told me they were, quote, complying with Daniel's law. Now, I don't know if these employees are getting their guidance from the town attorney, but if so, that guidance is completely wrong. Now, I went through minutes for all of 2010 and all of 2011. And in a number of cases, my comments had a redaction for where I lived, which, you know, I don't really care whether that's there or not, but I never give my address. I have always said Sunset Ridge. But even those minutes are not redacted properly. Again, Daniel's law refers to addresses, and it refers to addresses of police officers, judges, municipal employees, perhaps council members. Why we are getting documents with names redacted and addresses fully left on them, it just defies logic. It's just totally wrong. So I'm going to ask for those documents again. And I ask that you educate yourself on Daniel's law. And Mr. Zelinski, I can't expect that you know every law everywhere, but you can certainly research them. And if you're guiding them this way, you're giving them wrong information. It's totally ludicrous to think that addresses should be left on, but names should be redacted. Please, we expect you, our municipal government, to act correctly and to act professionally. Please educate yourselves on Daniel's law. That's really all I have to say tonight. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, Marcy?
Stephanie Debris, her hand went down. Just wait a second in case it goes back up. I don't have any hand.
No?
No.
Okay. All right, seeing no other members of the public wishing to come forward? Oh, okay. Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
I've really debated this because I know the council probably can't do anything about it anyway. Steve Dunlop. On Thursday before the last meeting, I contacted the clerk's office and asked for some information. The clerk wasn't in, the assistant clerk, not sure the title, said that she would find out for me from Irene and Donnell and get back to me. I called the office 3 times, nobody answered, 2:15 and 2:30. Finally at 3:30, I got someone to answer the phone. She said she would contact Irene and Donnell and would get back to me. At 4:25, I'd pretty much given up. My phone rang and it was the clerk's assistant saying that they had left for the day. She wasn't able to get a hold of them. She was sending them both an email with my questions and with my phone number, and one of them would get back to me. Well, as of today, that's about 2.5 weeks. Nobody got back to me. This morning I called the finance office and asked for Miss Bright, was told Miss Bright wasn't in. Left a message. I called again about 11:30. Same thing, not available. Left a message. I came down here at 1 o'clock and at 1:30, lights were all off, but there was a young lady in the back. She said, I can't answer your questions. But let me take your number and take a note. And either Miss Bright or the other lady that works at the front desk would get back to me. And here we are, 7:45, still never received a call. I saw Miss Bright at the last meeting. She didn't bother to say anything. I know she doesn't work for you, she works for the mayor. I've seen this town working very free and loose as far as attendance and being in the office. I talked to the tax office, and they told me I would need to talk to the tax collector. Nobody there. 1 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock, all the lights off, nobody home. It must be frustrating for business people trying to come into the building and get stuff done when there's people out of their office. I know that Miss Bright doesn't report to you guys. She reports to the mayor. And she can do whatever the mayor allows her to do. I think somebody needs to remind these employees that they're township employees. We pay their salaries. I don't overburden people. I think I've issued one Oprah request for the whole township in the 27 years I've lived here, and that was to the Board of Ed. I don't call the town very frequently at all. I may have been in this building other than for meetings, maybe 5 times in the 27 years I've lived here. It is very frustrating. Township offices and get no answer, to get a recording, say, leave a message, we'll call you back, and then nobody calls me back. I raised this at the last meeting about the tax assessor, and now here we are again. I would hope that somebody on the council would be able to sit down with the mayor and make him understand how important it is for people to be at their desk and doing their jobs. So when citizens do have questions, they can answer. And my question wasn't very difficult. Mr. Shortway had made a comment in the past about minerals not having paid their taxes and being behind on MUA. All I wanted to know is minerals up to date on their taxes? And are they up to date on their MUA? It should not be that difficult a task. I would think it would be something that they could find out in a matter of moments, not days or weeks. Again, I know it's not true, but it's a real frustration. And it's beginning to be problematic when I come down here and find lights off and nobody in offices. It's got to be real frustrating for companies trying to do business here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can Mr. Dunlap's question be answered tomorrow? Mayor, would you know?
Answer right now.
Okay, I didn't, oh, you don't have your computer with you, so I didn't know if you needed to look it up.
So I did speak with Councilmember Rizzuto about this about 2.5 weeks ago. And Minerals at that point had not paid for their sewer fees. I need to double check their taxes because they have multiple blocks and lots for taxes. But they have not paid their sewer fees. They owed over $90,000 in sewer fees.
Did you hear that, Steve? Okay.
And excuse me, can I just follow up on that?
You had a little bit of time left, so I'll give you.
How do we approve permits? How do we approve them to do work over there and just carry on when they're not paying their bills? My son lived in the condos for 5 years. You know how many assessments he got in the 5 years he lived there? 0. Nobody ever knocked on his door. What? I've seen pictures of the stairways falling down. How is it the township just turns a blind eye and let them do what they want to do when they owe us this kind of money? It's not fair to the taxpayers. And I apologize for coming back, but the answer just opens the question as to why, and why do we put up with it? Thank you.
Is there anyone else in public or virtually who would like to address the council?
I have Stephanie D. Brienza.
Okay. Ms. DeBrienza, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Thanks for taking I'm sorry about that. I had my hand up and by mistake earlier. I just have a question. with the taxes that are due, I think the town just sent out the, I don't think, I know, because it's in my hand. Forgive me. They sent out the estimated, tax bills in big bold letters, we've got our 10-day grace period. I'm just wondering, and I can look it up really, I'm just wondering, why is it that the interest that you charge us, because the taxes are so high as it is. Yes, I've paid my taxes late, couple of days, a month. But after the 10th of August, the interest on 1,500 is 8% and everything over that is 18. I tell you, if I'm having a bad month, I mean, you guys get a lot of money in interest, I can only imagine. Now, what about the big, what about Creek or, Legends? Are you charging them that much interest? I'm just curious. I mean,
I don't know if anyone here could answer that right now.
That we are.
Can Danelle?
They
Okay,
are?
Danelle can answer it, she said. Okay.
So the interest is statutory.
Did you hear that?
Maximum amounts that we're allowed to go statutorily, and those are charged across the board. So anybody that does not pay, it doesn't matter whether it's commercial or residential, it's all the same.
That's the statutory maximum we can charge. So we go to the maximum.
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear that, Ms. DeBrienza?
I did, thank you. Yeah, if anybody wants to consider lowering that, I think that would be good. But thank you.
And it's across the board for commercial and residential.
No, I got it. I appreciate it. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
all righty. Is there anybody else?
I don't have any.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Ms. DeBrienza already spoke.
Yeah, she already.
Yeah, I don't have any other hands.
Okay. All right, seeing no one else in the public, may I have a motion to close the floor to public comment?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta, may I have a second? Second by Mr. Tadrick, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? No, that's fine. The floor is closed to public comment. Mayor comments? Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments for us tonight?
Thank you, Madam Council President. My comments tonight I had planned to focus on two items, but I'll focus on the third in response to a question you had asked me
Okay,
to respond to. The first item, I'm pleased to inform the council and the general public of the fact that the Vernon Township Senior Olympic Team, which was led by Vernon's reigning Senior of the Year, Miss Debbie Smitko, represented Vernon Township with pride and enthusiasm at the Sussex County Senior Olympic Games held on June the 22nd in Hardiston Township. I was honored to be there with them as another representative of our town and as one of their key cheerleaders. This event was hosted by the Sussex County Division of Senior Services and grew out of a formal Sussex County Senior Services assessment of senior citizens' needs for socialization and recreation. These Olympic Games allow Sussex County residents who are 60 and older the opportunity to meet new friends, to connect to their community, and to simply just have fun. Research has found that social support can play a significant role in overall health as people age. Life doesn't always make it easy to socialize as we get older. So this is just one of the events that the Sussex County Division of Senior Services hosts as part of their efforts to create a connection to social supports and community involvement for our seniors. Last year, Vernon Township hosted this outstanding event at our very beautiful Maple Grange Park. In the total medal count, our Olympic team won the silver medal, missing out on the gold medal by just 21 points. I had the pleasure and pride of seeing 6 members of our Olympic team awarded 7 individual medals. Mr. Barry Dorsey and Miss Robin Masterton won individual gold medals. Miss Nancy Keller won an individual silver medal. Miss Judy Fortenbach won an individual bronze medal, and Mr. John Puste won 2 individual bronze medals. And Miss Nancy Keller also won the Team Spirit Award. It was a good, positive day for our seniors. It was a good, positive day for our town and a good, positive day for the county of Sussex. In the second portion of my comments, I expressed my amazement at the fact that as soon as 2 members of the Municipal Environmental Commission chose to give up their positions, I was immediately contacted by other Vernon residents who expressed their strong interest in filling these 2 seats. On tonight, I am pleased to make the following 2 appointments, which will bring the Municipal Environmental Commission up to full strength. The first is Mrs. Barbara Jaggy. Mrs. Jaggy brings to the commission her very valuable experiences gained as a member and the chairperson of the Highland Lakes Ecology Committee. During her service on this important committee, she worked with environmental consultants on water quality and on other important environmental issues. In addition, Mrs. Jaggy brings her experiences gained while working with the facilities manager at Chilton Medical Center, during which she interacted with NJ Department of Environmental Protection. These experiences will also be assets to the commission and to the residents of Vernon. I am appointing Mrs. Jaggy to an unexpired term that ends on December the 31st, 2024. The second is Mrs. Joanne Florida. Mrs. Florida's BS degree in healthcare, plus her experience as a laboratory scientist and a certified organic farmer, will make her an outstanding and valuable member of this important commission. I am appointing Mrs. Florida to an unexpired term that ends on December the 31st, 2023. On behalf of the municipality, I thank both of these good citizens for volunteering their time and efforts to serve our town. In the third comment, I share with the public from some notes and comments that I've already shared with the council as it relates to resolution 23-180 that was on tonight's agenda that was tabled. A large and growing number of individuals have enthusiastically embraced and supported the town center pump track since its opening in October of last year. While the enthusiasm has been great, the support has been even greater and is measurable in terms of the support services that have been provided to users of the town center pump track, as well as the taxpayer provided dollars that they have saved the municipality. For example, except for the pump track itself and the porta-john that's on the site, all of the other amenities on this pump track site have been donated to our town through the self-initiated efforts of this group of enthusiastic volunteers and supporters. These donations range from all of the informal signs around the pump track and all of the safety-related signs both in and around the pump track. They range from the memorial sitting and resting park benches to the top quality picnic tables with benches. They range from the galvanized steel bike storage racks to the state-of-the-art weathable outdoor public tire bike pump with a gauge. They range from the state-of-the-art park tool head quick repair bike station to the host of other key items that enhance the usability, the user experience, and the overall enjoyment of the pump track. These donations and efforts on the part of the group of enthusiastic volunteers and supporters have enabled our town to offer our residents a third municipal park with a highly used amenity, while at the same time greatly limiting the use of taxpayer provided dollars. The core group of these volunteers and supporters who have been the leaders and organizers of these efforts in support of the town center pump track have requested that they be granted a role similar to the role played by the volunteers and supporters of the Board of Recreation, which will allow them to formalize their town center pump track support efforts and coordinate these efforts with the town through the Municipal Director of Recreation and Community Affairs, just as the volunteers and supporters that service our town on the Board of Recreation. I had communicated to the council that I had planned to appoint this pump track committee. I have the authority to do it as mayor without a resolution. And I had asked the council if they wanted to join me in appointing this committee. And I asked that because of the fact that I think that this is a good thing. It's a good way to use these volunteers. And I just didn't simply want it to be said that, oh, the mayor did this. I keep looking for opportunities where I can say the mayor and the council. As I contacted the council members, 3 of them told me that they would vote in support of this resolution. Obviously, 1 changed their mind, and that's okay. If I hadn't gotten 3 individuals who've said they wanted to support this resolution, I wouldn't have put it on the agenda. I would have simply just authorized it myself. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. Given the authority that I have, I'm going to speak into existence the Pump Track Committee. I have the authority to do that as the mayor under this form of government. And tonight I'm going to fill the 7 seats on this committee. And I hereby appoint the following individuals: Mr. Brian Scott, Mr. Gene Arnold, and Mr. John Hanson to serve 3-year terms. Mr. Dan Kraus, Mr. Howie Hawley to serve 2-year terms. And Ms. Joanne Felvey and Mr. Roger Falco to serve 1-year terms. I thank these volunteers for not only for their contribution that they've already made to the town, but also for the many contributions that they will make in the future. Madam Council President, that ends my comments tonight.
Comments? Anyone have any comments? Mr. Spassy?
Yes, I do. I would like to ask Josh. The municipality can create a 501c3, or must that be done by individuals? It's my understanding a municipality cannot do that.
I have to check for sure, but I don't believe a municipality can create a tax exempt organization under section 501c3.
That's what I thought. Thank
But
you.
I will get back to you on that.
I would appreciate that if you would check that, please. I think that the entire band shell, I support having a band shell. What I don't support is the funding process. I believe that people want the band shell, they should create that, join together as individuals, create a 501c3 and gather the funding to pay for it. It is, as Natalie has said, it is an amenity. It's not a necessity. Yes, it will bring revenue into the town potentially, but I do not believe that the township at this point in time should be bonding for something other than what is necessary for the safety and the function of our town. I would also like to see some homework done. Everything has been stated in a generalized format and a figure thrown out at us, but we've seen no reports, no engineering, no study of any locations, no building costs other than a generalized concept that was put in the meeting that we had a couple weeks ago. I don't believe that voting for just 350,000 is going to be sufficient to do the entire project. It's going to be a lot more than that. And I think that by approving this, we're putting the cart before the horse. We need information to be able to properly make a decision on such an important issue. And I would like to just finish off by saying that I do support the concept of having a specialized pump track committee, people that are dedicated to the support, to the sport, and will make the track safe. They will get volunteers, they will get money donated, and they will support the track. As a matter of fact, they've been doing that all along. In addition, it's my understanding they have no authority other than reporting back to the town. So they're not going to have any money from the town. They're not going to have any authority to do anything that they must not run by the mayor and the town first. So I do think it's a good idea. And as a matter of fact, if we were to have a band shell down the road, I would think that we should have a specialized art committee for that, because obviously the average everyday person isn't going to be specialized enough to be able to be a booking agent for bands and art shows and such. So I think that they could be subcommittees of our recreation department, and I support that concept. Thank you.
May I answer a comment that Mrs. Nastassi made?
Go ahead. Yep.
The reason why no engineering studies are done is because you need the money to do it. I've already raised over $30,000. But working ahead on that, the actual projected cost on this should cost no more than $350,000. The actual band shell itself, which is a 45-foot structure with the changing rooms, will be $178,444. The difference would be the price of installation, which would be about $179, call it $180,000, not inclusive of electric. Okay? So, and as far as looking at what other people would do or the benefits of a band shell, how do I know who's going to come? How do I know what it's going to do, other than by looking at what other communities have done, even without a band shell? People continually say, look at Warwick, look at Warwick, look at Sparta. Why wouldn't they do something like that for Vernon? Yet when you look at the jazz in the park that continually is produced, they get great response. Further, I've had discussions with the school superintendent personally, and has assured me that he would be most happy to see programs diverted to the band shell for the benefit of the community. Quite honestly, I think you're wearing blinders, Mr. Stassi. You don't understand bond financing. There's no reason why you should not allow this township to have the benefit of an investment, when, especially when their debt service is minimal.
Bonding equals expense equals higher taxes. It's that simple. That's basic bonding.
What do you think? No, what do you think $350,000 would add to the?
I don't think it's just going to be 350,000. I think it's going to be closer to double that. And a foundation alone is not going to be inexpensive. It's going to be a lot more than that. And that's why I'm saying,
research.
you have $30,000 already. Is that to do your engineering report?
No, on the contrary, that money was not developed, put in there for the engineering report. It was put in there paid for the project.
That's part of the project.
But I'm not going to put it on there without being assured. The people who were kind enough to make that donation did so with the assurance that there would be a finished product, not an engineering report that the council would say not good enough and blow it away, and thereby wasting that amount of money.
It's your choice, Mr.
No, it's not my choice. It's your choice.
The choice is I will not approve unnecessary bonding for our town and our.
Don't understand bonding, because I don't even think this would go to a bond issue. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Donnell, but Ms. Bright, I think this would probably go to a band and be paid off probably within 6 to 8 years, if not sooner.
I'm done.
I'm done too.
Mr. Sparta?
Yeah, I'd to address the pump track committee, just to clear up any rumors that are out there. I'm the one that changed their mind. I had a conversation with Mr. Burrell, Mayor Burrell, I don't know, week and a half ago or so, lengthy conversation. I provided some alternatives as to what I thought we could possibly do with those volunteers, and this has nothing to do with the volunteers. Some of the names that Mayor Burrell read off, I know. I know the work that they've already done down at the pump track. It is greatly appreciated, from picking up garbage to cleaning out the drain lines, the catch basins for the rains that we're having now. However, those options that I provided were basically not recognized, and there was no consideration to discuss them further. So on the way home today, driving through the rain and hail in Butler, I thought to myself that and also too, just for the record, the resolution was not voted down, it was tabled. I decided to change my vote. I was going to vote no if it went to a vote because of those reasons. So just to clear up anything moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sparta. Mr. Patrick, do you have any
Why
comments?
bother? No, why bother?
Do you have anything else?
Only that this is 4th of July weekend coming up. And our fire departments have done a great job in setting up displays. And they, if there are any displays, I'm not quite sure that we even have one this year, because I think the last response was kind of poor. But, if in fact they're there, I would encourage you to attend.
Are you talking about the
Just
fireworks?
Mountain-
Mountain Creek.
Mountain Creek.
Mountain Creek's doing it.
I believe,
Again, that would be a great
parking-
opportunity.
yeah, but I believe the parking fee is a donation to the fire department,
Thank you.
which is it's nice of Mountain Creek to do. Any other comments? Okay, I have no comments. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Sparta. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Distassi. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph?